Now, property prices in Moldova are incredibly cheap, even in the center of the Moldovan capital, Chisinau, or if you're Russian, Chisinau, you can find property for under €1,000 per square meter. But does this mean that Moldova is a good place to put your money in the real estate market? Today I will discuss the advantages and disadvantages of investing in Moldovan real estate, and in particular Chisinau, since the vast majority of transactions do take place here. I will then give my conclusion at the end of the video. So let's talk about the advantages. So the main advantage of investing in Moldova is the incredibly cheap prices. In Chisinau, the capital, even in the historical centre, you can find new builds for less than €1,000 per square metre. And in areas like Botanica district, and in particular Botanica, which is a lovely area, you can find new builds for under €750 per square metre, which is incredibly cheap for your European capital. Please remember also, we are talking about new builds. Existing property is much cheaper. Now, if you decide to buy property outside of the capital, it can sometimes feel as though you're purchasing property for next to nothing. I've seen houses 150 to 200 square meters for $20,000 and even less than that as well. Number two, I want to talk about the good rental yields. So in Chisinau, gross rental yields are very good at around 6 to 8% on average, and you can actually get a little bit more if you do look and closely and do your homework here. Number three, I want to talk about low taxation. So rental income tax is only 12%, and capital gains tax is actually treated as ordinary income, but only 50% of the gain is taxable. However, before January 2020, only 20% of the gain was taxable. So you can see, though, taxation here is low. Number four, I want to talk about the impressive GDP growth. So from 2010 to 2019, GDP growth was pretty good. For example, from 2016 to 2019, growth ranged from 3.7% to 4.7%. In 2016, growth was 5.8%. In 2013, a whopping 9%. And in 2014, 5%. However, in years 2010 and 2015, the economy did contract slightly. Number five, I want to talk about the low total government debt to GDP. So, total government debt to GDP in Moldova at the end of 2020 was just under 33%, and it grew very slightly in 2021. Now, in 2019, it was actually only 25%, but as we know, due to the pandemic, governments have spent a lot of money. But even so, if you compare Moldova's figure to Western European countries like Spain, France, the UK and Italy, and comparing it to the US, all these countries are 100% plus. It does put Moldova in a very good light. Number six, I want to talk about how stable the Moldovan leu has been over the past few years. So in February 2017, $1 got you 19.7 leu. In 2022, it got you 17.9 leu. In 2017, €1 got you 21 leu. In 2022, €1 gets you 20.5 leu. So these are all approximate figures because obviously currencies do change every day, but it does show you that the Moldovan currency has been very stable over the last few years. Number seven, I want to talk about the low unemployment. So from years 2015 to 2019, this ranged from 3.69% to 5.1%. It now stands currently at an even lower rate of 2.5%. This is very impressive, in particular when you compare it to many southern European countries. Number eight, I want to talk about the government's Prima Casa program. Now, Prima Casa means first house, and this is a program which is helping people from the ages of 18 to 50 to buy their first home. And this does show the government is committed to a property owning population, which should ensure that prices will continue to increase in the future. Number 9, I want to talk about Moldova's commitment to joining the EU. So President Maia Sandu has stated that Moldova aspires to join the EU. Moldova already signed in 2014 an association agreement with the EU, which has resulted in a free trade agreement, a comprehensive free trade agreement. Now, financial aid has already been given to Moldova because of a closer association with the EU, and this is having a very positive effect on the real estate market. Now, if Moldova does eventually join the EU, I think property prices could skyrocket. And number 10, I want to talk about Moldova's strategic position. So Moldova borders both the EU and the CIS countries, ensuring it has a very unique geographical location. And I think this will be very good for business. However, there are some major disadvantages of investing in Moldova, and we'll touch on a few of them. Now, Moldova, unfortunately, is still a relatively poor country with a GDP per head of only around $4,500 US, and also salaries are very low. Even in the capital, Chisinau, they are below 500 euros per month net. And again, unfortunately, inflation is on the rise in Moldova, so we are talking over 14% now, which has led interest rates to go up to 8.5% as of February 2022. And they are doing this to protect the currency, but if this policy were to be abandoned, you could see a free fall in the Moldovan leu, so that is a risk. Number 3, I also want to talk about Transnistria. So within Moldova, you have a breakaway state called Transnistria, which is not actually officially recognized, even though they have their own constitution, government, currency, military, and even passport. So this could complicate matters if Moldova wants to eventually join the EU. And also Moldova is suffering from depopulation. So again, like many countries in Eastern Europe, population is going down, although this is less of an issue in the capital, Chisinau. So having stated the advantages and disadvantages, what's the conclusion? Well, I think if you're a first-time buyer, I would not come here. I think it's a step too far, although property prices I know are very, very cheap. Perhaps it's a step too far. I think it may be a good investment for the seasoned buyer who already has a portfolio of property abroad. Perhaps they want to add Moldova to that. There are definitely potential for a lot of gains here in the future. But as I said, there are risks as well. And it's a place where definitely if you do buy, you have to do due diligence. So if you do decide to invest, where should you invest? Well, for me, I think the answer is pretty obvious. You should go absolutely for downtown Chisinau. As I said, you can get property here for under €1,000 per square meter, so it is a no-brainer. Now, I guess some of you will want to buy outside the capital. If you do buy outside the capital, I know it's incredibly cheap, but I think in this instance, it is only a lifestyle investment. Anyway, that's it for today. I'd love to know your thoughts on Moldova, and in particular the capital, Chisinau. Do you think it's a good place to put your money in the real estate market? If any of you have invested, please let me know. And I will see you very soon on the next video.